Hey, Beyond the Gates fans, welcome back. I have got your full weekly spoiler breakdown for June 15th through the 19th, and I am telling you right now, buckle up because this is one of those weeks where the show just does not let you breathe for a single second. We are talking life or death drama on two fronts, a secret tornado hookup that is about to detonate like a bomb right in the middle of everything, a transplant race against the clock, and one of the most emotionally complicated decisions any character has had to face in this entire series. Kat Richardson is sitting at the center of all of it, and I genuinely do not know how she is going to get through this week without completely falling apart, or completely hardening into stone. It could go either way with her, and that's what makes her such a fascinating character to watch. And before we dive in, if you are not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button right now because you do not want to miss a single breakdown. We are in the thick of season 2, and things are escalating fast. The tornado aftermath is going to carry emotional weight for weeks, and the writers are absolutely using it to blow open every single storyline that had been simmering. The disaster sequences last week were genuinely impressive. They clearly spent some real money on production value, and it paid off. The tornado felt real. It felt dangerous. And most importantly, it felt like it had actual consequences. And now we get to see all of those consequences land one by one. Let's get into it. Monday, June 15th, Season 2. Episode 108, we are picking right back up from Friday's cliffhanger, and the adrenaline does not slow down for a single moment. Kat and Tomas arrive at Garland Memorial asking about Eva, which tells us that Kat, despite everything she feels about her half-sister, could not just stay away. She had to know. She had to see it for herself. And that internal conflict is going to be the emotional engine that drives Kat's entire arc this week. Now remember, Friday ended on two absolutely devastating notes. Eva was rushed out of the country club on a gurney, choking on her own blood, and Martin Richardson collapsed right at the end of the episode, which sent Smitty into a complete panic. So we are walking into Monday, with two members of this extended family fighting for their lives simultaneously, and Garland Memorial is about to become ground zero for all of it. Beyond the Gates spoilers confirm that emergency surgery is required this week to save a life. Now, the most likely candidate is Eva, given how critical her condition appeared, but we cannot rule out Martin either. His collapse was sudden and alarming, and depending on what caused it, whether it was a heart event, whether he sustained some kind of injury during the tornado chaos that nobody noticed at the time, things could be very serious for him too. What we do know is that after Martin collapses and Smitty calls for help, Shanice, Ashley, and Jacob all rush into action to get him the medical attention he needs. They transport Martin over to Garland Memorial, which means both he and Eva are going to end up in the same hospital, and that is going to create an incredibly emotionally charged environment for everyone involved. The Richardsons and the Smiths are all going to be in that waiting room, and given the history between some of these families, that tension is not going to disappear just because there's a crisis. Meanwhile, Samantha and Tyrell are absolutely frantic when Grandma Nicole calls them with an update about Martin. They're going to be terrified, trying to figure out how bad it is, and I think at this point they are probably only getting partial information. Nicole may not yet know the full picture about Eva, because the situation is still unfolding and information is coming in fragments. So Samantha and Tyrell may spend a good chunk of Monday in a state of horrible, incomplete dread, knowing something is wrong but not knowing how wrong. And then we have Vanessa in full panic mode because she cannot get in touch with Danielle or Deanna, and Banacre University is close enough to the tornado's path that she is genuinely terrified her kids might have been caught up in it. That is a separate, quieter anxiety running alongside all the hospital chaos, but it is real, and it is important because Vanessa's kids are her whole world. Tuesday, June 16th, Season 2, Episode 109. Tuesday gives us a little bit of everything, and I mean that. We get disaster aftermath, we get a soapy flashback, we get a sibling visit, and we get a gut punch of a medical update that is going to destroy Leslie. First, let's talk about Haley and Bill. The tornado did not just hit the country club, it also damaged their house, which means they cannot even go home to decompress after one of the most traumatic evenings of their lives. So they end up checking into a hotel, still wearing their formal fundraiser clothes, still running on adrenaline and shock. And then Haley does what Haley does. She starts talking, starts processing, and she asks Bill how he managed to pass the time while they were separated during the tornado. And oh, Bill. He just has to sit there and smile through that question, knowing exactly what he did to pass the time. He did his ex-wife in an elevator during an active tornado. So we get a flashback, the sexy elevator moment between Bill and Danny, and honestly the fact that they're going to be hauling that flashback out right here on Tuesday tells you the show knows exactly what it is doing with this storyline. They want you savoring the anticipation of the explosion because that explosion is coming and it is going to be spectacular. Meanwhile, Heather, and I love that the show refers to her as Heather the Impaler because she has absolutely earned that nickname, comes to visit her brother Joey. Now I am very curious about what Joey is going to share with her, or not share with her. Did Heather hear through the grapevine that the tornado hit Fairmont Crest, and she came because she was worried? Or did Joey reach out to her directly? Either way, Heather showing up at a moment like this usually means things are about to get more complicated, because Heather does not do anything quietly or without consequence. Now here is the emotional gut punch of Tuesday that I cannot stop thinking about. Ted sits down with Kat, and with the Richardsons and the Smiths all gathered, and delivers what sounds like devastating news. Given that the Smiths are specifically named in this scene, it sounds like the news is primarily about Martin first, and then, separately, Ted pulls Leslie aside and delivers the news about Eva that changes everything. He tells her that if Eva does not get a transplant, their daughter could die. Leslie is absolutely beside herself. She is crying, she is cursing, she is falling apart, and honestly, who could blame her? This is her daughter, a daughter she has only recently been able to acknowledge and connect with, and now she might lose her before they ever really get the chance to build the relationship they should have had all along. Isaiah is right there with her, and he looks just as devastated, because Eva has become incredibly important to him too. Now, what organ are we talking about? My instinct says liver, and here's why. You can live with one kidney, and you can also do a living donor transplant of a liver lobe or an individual kidney. If the show wants to create maximum dramatic tension around whether someone will step up to donate, a liver makes the most sense because it is a bigger, more complex ask and the surgery is more serious for the donor. But we will see what the writers decide. And Danny is back at home, still in her ball gown, sitting with Andre, who's being incredibly loving and attentive and telling her she must have been so terrified, trapped all alone in that elevator. Oh, Andre. Sweet, unsuspecting Andre. He has absolutely no idea. And then Vanessa shows up and pulls Danny aside and asks her point blank, "Are you going to tell Andre what happened with Bill?" Danny is caught. She needs to tell someone. She already told Vanessa, clearly, but she is not ready to tell Andre. Not with everything else going on. Not with the Martin and Eva crisis consuming everyone's emotional bandwidth. Danny told Bill to keep quiet, and she is hoping against hope that it stays contained. But secrets never stay contained on this show. Never. Wednesday, June 17th, Season 2, Episode 110. Wednesday is the episode where people are trying, in their own messy, imperfect ways, to find some comfort in the middle of an ongoing nightmare. And the most dramatic development of the week starts to crystallize right here. Nicole finds some life-affirming comfort with Kyle, which, honestly, after everything she has been through, is not surprising at all. She pulls him into bed and takes the distraction she needs. Nicole has been carrying so much, and sometimes the body just craves warmth and closeness and the reminder that you are still alive. Kyle is clearly there for her, and she is grateful for it. Good for Nicole, at least somebody is getting a moment of peace. But then we get to the scene that is going to have everyone talking. Ted pulls Kat into a stairwell, which tells you right there that this is not a conversation he wanted anyone else to overhear, and he begs her to get tested to see if she could be a donor match for Eva. And Kat's response is devastating in its honesty. She says she does not want to be a match. She does not say she will not donate if she is one. She says she does not want to be a match. She does not want to be in this position at all. She storms off, and you can feel the enormity of what she is being asked to do slamming into her all at once. And then Kat lays into Isaiah. She is raging. Some of this may be survivor's guilt. Kat walked away from the tornado without a scratch while Eva is fighting for her life, and that kind of thing can twist into something ugly and misdirected really fast. But there is also genuine resentment there, because Kat has spent years constructing a version of her life that does not include Eva, and now Eva's existence is threatening to crack everything open. Isaiah may well snap back at her if she refuses to even get tested, because from his perspective, if Kat can save Eva's life and chooses not to, that is something he cannot forgive. Shanice shows Leslie some kindness, and I want to pause on this because it matters. Shanice has had every reason to resent Leslie, the territorial behavior, the ego, all of it. But Shanice's compassion does not extend to Leslie or not extend to Leslie based on how Leslie has treated her. It extends to the situation. Eva is innocent in all of this. Eva is fighting for her life. And Shanice is not the kind of woman who lets personal grievances stop her from being a decent human being when it really counts. That says everything about Shanice's character. Ashley gets some comfort from her mom Jan, which is so needed. Ashley is still carrying the grief of losing Derek, and now she is surrounded by more life or death trauma, more hospital waiting rooms, more uncertainty. Jan showing up for her daughter is exactly right. Ashley needs her mom right now. Thursday, June 18th, Season 2, Episode 111. Thursday turns the heat up on every single storyline simultaneously, and I am not exaggerating when I say this is probably the most intense episode of the week even with everything else going on. Dani confronts Bill. She is laying into him, and I think what might have happened is that Bill, stressed, guilty, maybe drinking a little too much to cope, said something to someone. There is a spoiler this week about a couple facing consequences after what they did during the tornado crisis, and it is very clearly pointing at Dani and Bill. Whether Bill was sloppy or whether the truth leaked out another way, the confrontation is happening, and it is not going to be pretty. Carlton finds Nicole and tells her that things are not good. There is an urgent matter she needs to know about. And I think what happened here is that Nicole went off to be with Kyle before she fully understood the severity of what was going on with Martin and Eva. So now she is going to come back to reality with a crash, and she may end up feeling guilty about having taken that moment of comfort for herself when her family was in crisis. That is a complicated feeling, and I hope the show handles it with nuance, because Nicole deserved that moment of peace. She just could not know what was happening while she was in it. Andre is there for Isaiah, which is beautiful and exactly what Isaiah needs. Isaiah is terrified he might lose Eva. He loves her. And Andre is the kind of friend who shows up, who sits with you in the hard moments, who does not need to fill the silence. That friendship is one of the quiet, consistent joys of this show. But the clock is ticking. Spoilers confirm that one of the injured from the tornado is in critical condition and may not survive. The timing is closing in, and if Eva does not get that transplant soon, we may be looking at a tragedy that changes the show permanently. Martin's situation is also still unresolved, and I keep coming back to the crush syndrome possibility. If he was pinned or compressed at any point during the collapse or chaos, his organs could be under serious stress in ways that would not be immediately apparent. Kidney failure, heart complications, there are a lot of bad outcomes that could still be developing. Chelsea is there for Kat, as Kat tries to work through what is happening inside her. Chelsea is not a yes person. She's going to give Kat real perspective, real pushback, and Kat needs that right now more than she needs someone to just validate her feelings. Chelsea is going to plant a seed that Kat cannot ignore, and we are going to see that seed start to grow. Friday, June 19th, Season 2, Episode 112, and here we are. Friday, the week's payoff episode. And it delivers on every single thread. Andre and Bill get into it. Andre knows. And however he found out, the hurt is real, and it is coming out. I genuinely hope Dani told him herself, because if Andre heard it from Bill, or even worse, from Haley, that is going to add a layer of betrayal that is going to make an already painful situation even harder to come back from. Andre and Dani have something real. This is going to test it in ways neither of them are ready for. Haley and Naomi find themselves on the same side of something for once, which almost never happens. I think they are both reacting to the Dani and Bill revelation with the same mix of horror and validation, because they always knew something was unresolved between those two, even if they could not prove it. When two women who agree on almost nothing suddenly agree on something, you know that something is a big deal. The Hawthorns band together around Isaiah. Jacob, Elon, possibly even Darlene, Though that is complicated because Darlene has never made any secret of her contempt for Eva. She has treated Eva badly, repeatedly, and Isaiah has never forgotten that. So, if Darlene tries to comfort Isaiah now, he may not receive it the way she hopes. He might actually say something to her about how she treated Eva, about how she never gave Eva a real chance, and that is going to be a reckoning that has been building for a long time. And then we get to the biggest moment of the entire week. Kat gets life-changing, life-saving information. She is a match for Eva. She can donate. She can save her sister's life. And this is the impossible choice the whole week has been building toward. Because Kat said she did not want to be a match. She has resisted every step of this process. She has denied that Eva is truly her sister. She has been angry and bitter and scared. And now the one person who can save Eva's life is the one person who is most conflicted about doing it. Leslie briefly gets hope, and then that hope gets complicated. Maybe Ted tells her they found a match, and then she finds out it is Kat, and she knows that after everything she has done, after all the history between them, Kat may never choose to save Eva's life. And that is a particular kind of agony, knowing the answer exists but that it might be locked behind a door you cannot open. And then Anita offers her granddaughter some advice. Kat goes to her grandmother. And that conversation, that quiet, private moment between Kat and Anita, may be the most important scene of the entire week. Because Anita knows Kat. She knows what she is capable of. She knows what is underneath all the armor. And she might be the only person in Kat's life who can reach the part of her that already loves Eva, even if Kat has never let herself admit it. This week on Beyond the Gates is going to be television worth watching. Do not miss a single episode. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener and reader. Make sure you're following us on every major platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you get your podcasts, because we have got breakdowns coming all week long, and you do not want to be the last one to know what happens next. We will see you back here for more spoilers soon.